And we're on. My friend, it's really a huge honor. I mean, I've been fans of the band since day one. We've been doing the radio show since 13 years, and we play you so many times. And still, I've got the same excited when I play you than when I saw you because we love you. There's a huge love affair between Quebec and you guys. But for people that don't recognize your face or voice, who the hell are you, man?
Well, thanks for that huge compliment. That's awesome. Yeah, my name is Rob Huddleston, and I am one of the founding members of the band and Beretta, and sing and play guitar in the band. Um, we are from Richmond, Virginia, in the state. Same hometown as some pretty great bands like Strike Anywhere and Avail that I'm sure a lot of your listeners also really love.
Yeah, and love the scene there. I've been friends with so many people of the scene, and you have such art and passion. And what I love about Richmond, Virginia, is the song is always different. The originality that you guys create over the years was amazing. Because I remember I saw you guys, when you start coming to Quebec.
Mhm.
You did so many great first part with so many crazy band, but I always saw headline band. I always saw the potential, and the evolution of the band prove it. But yeah, it's crazy to bring a song like that at that time because it was pretty different. So maybe for people that unaware of the story, how did that start it up, and how did you choose the direction of the band?
Yeah, so the band started in the fall of 1996. Um, we I don't know that we really like chose a direction as much as it's just what came out of us. It was um, maybe in part because of the music we all liked, and we all like very different music, a lot of the same, but very different at the same time. It could have been that, as an example, some of us hardly knew how to play our instruments, myself included at the time when we started playing. I wasn't much of a guitar player, certainly not much of a singer. Um, and so we just kind of grew into it. And I think, at first we just started we just got together in our practice space. It was at my house at the time, and we just turned everything on, cranked it up really loud, and tried to play, whatever came out. And so that sound, I think, is just for me, it was a reflection of a lot of our influences at the time, which I think were like the old Lookout bands like 15 and Crimshrine. And, um, I think at least at the time, again, I wasn't much of a singer, couldn't really sing, didn't know how to sing, but I knew hearing bands like I said, 15, Jeff Ott, like I felt like I could sing like that, had kind of a gravelly voice. And, Leatherface, right? Like Frankie, another really, really great band, great singer. Um, of course we were friends like right out of the gate. We'd already met Hot Water Music um, prior to the band forming. So, those are just, I think we were surrounded by people and bands that we really loved. And there was this kind of real gritty quality about all of them. And I think that was just something that we felt we could maybe add something to that genre, if that's what it was, but that sound at least.
Yeah, you did, and it really influenced a lot of bands to do their own thing. Not try to recreate something they enjoy, and that was cool. And it's funny that you mentioned at Quarter Music. I spoke to Jason today, a couple of hours ago,
Oh, that's
uh,
awesome.
about their new record.
Oh, cool. Yeah, no, I can't wait to hear the record. I haven't had a chance to hear it yet, but the videos are cool so far. They've released the first two songs, and yeah, I'm sure it's going to be an amazing record.
And that's the thing, and I think it's the same with you with the new record. That's what I felt. It's there's a lot of band that their first three records are amazing, like so powerful, and then they get lost in the process. And for other bands, it just it's getting better each records, and it's really fascinating me to see that after all those years, you're still able to have not just the rage, but the confidence of doing and releasing something really strong and powerful. And man, I'm pretty sure that you got like your masterpiece in your end.
We think so. I mean, if you had asked me, 20, 25 years ago when the band started, if it would be this long before we wrote our masterpiece, if that's what it is, or I I don't know that I would have thought that would be true. You know, it's been a while. We haven't released a record since 2003, at least of new material. So we've had a couple releases out since then, but they've been, demo records of demos and outtakes. Or in 2018 we did a record where we wasn't really a best of record, but we re-recorded a lot of songs from our catalog, and that was really fun to make. And that was supposed to be kind of a ramp up to this record. We hoped to have them out closer together, but writing songs when you haven't done it in a long time we found it to be a lot harder than we expected, so but yeah, I think it's a great record, man. We're really excited about it. It's different. And I think as you mentioned, like, the band has continued to evolve over time. I think some of that also was in part of us just wanting to explore or push ourselves to explore something slightly different than we did previously. But I think as we started becoming more comfortable as musicians, and me as a singer, and a songwriter even, it was just every record we made, every song we wrote, the hope was that it was better than what we did before, or at least different in a meaningful way. Not different for different sake, but
Yeah,
like pushing ourselves to just continue down this path and continue to progress. So I think we've done that. I know people, or at least some people, have been waiting a long time for this record. We certainly have been waiting a long time to make it. So I hope that, yeah, I hope people hear it for the first time and get really pumped and excited and think the same. I hope they love it.
yeah, and a lot of people like me are looking for that, something different, like you mentioned, because it's cool. The 90 wave was amazing when you started up. There was something, around the world where, punk became mainstream. It was cool. There was money involved. It kind of crashed down, band leave and everything. But to see, band like you still, taking the flag again after all those years and doing something in your own way with your own experience now, and something different, but it's still and Beretta. People will not lose their
Yeah,
self
absolutely.
of listening to it. They're gonna find just another version of something that is pretty good. And now with the experience, the time, the age, it's different to do a record. You don't rush
Yep.
yourself. It's not the same expectation. Nobody were like, I'm gonna wait for that records and I'm gonna judge it. And no, they want to see you having fun. And I think that's was all about.
Yeah, no, us too. And I mean, that was really, a lot of what was behind making this record. For us, it I think any band that goes into the studio and makes a record, they don't think that that's potentially the last record they'll ever make. So in 2003, when we released Three Chord Revolution record, we didn't know at the time that, a year later the band would be really, taking a break, going on hiatus, and that it would be 18 years before we made another record of new material. So um this record for us, it was getting, we've done it all ourselves. It's all DIY. There's no label involved. There's no big budget, no one paying for it. So it was really, we are doing this ourselves. Our other guitar player has a studio that he manages at his house, and runs a business out of that. He's an amazing engineer and producer. So it was just great for us to be able to work together in a home environment, make the record on our own terms. We weren't rushed. There wasn't a deadline. There was pressure, of course, that we put on ourselves to do it and to make it, as quickly as possible, but also to take the time we needed to make it what the record needed to be. And I think we did that. I think there was, I'll tell you a quick story. Like I mentioned earlier, it was really difficult to get in the routine of writing songs. We hadn't written new songs or sat down. I hadn't sat down to write a record in many years. We'd written a song here or there. We had tried time and time again over the last, like, maybe 5 or 6 years to write this record. But I think we were putting so much pressure on ourselves. I know I was, to live up to what we had done before, to make it better. Everything that we wrote, I think we were like, it's okay. But it's like we were so hard on every song we wrote, so hard on ourselves. I think the stress was paralyzing. Like, we just couldn't get past ourselves. And at some point, I was actually, I was telling some friends. We had a lot of friends work on this record too, which is amazing. I'm sure we'll get to that in a second. But I was telling some of them that it wasn't until I finally just let go of the pressure and the stress that I was putting on myself. I finally had to remember why we were making this record. We want it to be fun. We want it to, this to be great. In some respect, like going into this knowing potentially, or at least having that realization of, we may never make a record again. Who's to say? Let's make this one everything it possibly can be. Let's not put the stress on ourselves to make it something that it's not. Let's just have fun. And thinking about process, you mentioned like bands getting stuck in the process. um i I think I gave into the process, meaning like, this was a record where during the pandemic, around 2020, I started writing the songs. There was a lot going on all around the world, that I thought was important enough that I wanted to speak about or sing about or write songs about. Everything from, politics and the division of the political division in America, our personal lives, things that some of us in the band have gone through over the last years, ranging from, like depression and addiction and just general life as an adult stuff that maybe we weren't able to write about because we hadn't experienced yet 20 years ago. Um, Racism and just everything that was kind of at the forefront, the pandemic, all the things we've all been living through, isolation. These are all like really powerful themes. We were living them in the moment and watching the news on TV. You're just being bombarded with imagery and a lot of it really negative and really terrifying. So what I wanted to do in writing these songs was, that was just suddenly when I gave into the process and just like let go of the stress and all the pressure. The songs just came pouring out. The music just came pouring out. And so in a matter of probably 2 or 3 weeks, all of the music was written for the record. Now, the downside, now I say that I had written, you know, what I thought was songs start to finish. None of the guys had heard them yet because we weren't able to get together and practice. That was another really weird thing, right? Like we weren't vaccinated yet. We were trying to be careful and, for ourselves and for each other. So it was a lot of, and I guess, this is pretty natural or pretty normal in this day and age with technology, but we just started passing files back and forth. I'd have a bass and a drum line recorded on Pro Tools. I'd send a track to one of the guys. It would come back with like a drum part laid on top of it. And then I would get some ideas and start singing. But the interesting thing is, we thought we had the music done. We went into the studio with only, I think, 3 songs written lyrically from start to finish. And so when I say I just kind of gave into the process, I found myself, because we knew we were going to start the record on a date. We had the studio booked. We had been able to get together just enough for everyone to hear the music I was writing and to put their own, to build on top of it, add their own parts. We played together only a few times and then we went right into the studio. But at that point, I hadn't started writing lyrics yet, except for those few songs. And I found myself getting back into that like mindset of having so much pressure on myself of like, okay, what am I writing about? It has to be great. It has to be, it has to mean something. And I just went back to that place of just like saying, screw it. I'm going to just let happen whatever happens. And again, that flood just came out. What I would do if I knew on Thursday I was going to the studio and I would plan to work on one song a day vocally. So I knew what song I had to sing. I didn't have lyrics yet. So I would go to the coffee shop down the street from the studio an hour and a half before I went in to sing. And I would just listen to the music on repeat. And I just started freeform writing. Anything that came to mind, I was just writing it down and trying to hum along a melody in my head. So an hour later, when I would go to the studio, I'd have a page full of words, but I'd never sang the song to the music. I'd never sing the song out loud. I didn't, we hadn't rehearsed the song, or I don't know how to play the song and sing it at the same time. So let's just see what happens. And some of the best songs on the record, the first single is the song Better Medicine. That's one of those songs where it was really just guitar, bass, and drums up until, and I had nothing else to it, up until an hour and a half before I went to the studio to sing it. And then all those words just kind of came out very naturally. And then so the way that would work is, I wrote the words, I would do vocal warm-ups and maybe do 2 or 3 passes of the song just to start belting it out and see if things are working the way I thought in my head. And then, 4 or 5 passes later and the song's done. And then that just gave us everything we needed to wrap all the other layers around the backing vocals, the percussion, other instruments that we brought in. We really, production wise, got really interested in a lot of we just called it ear candy. A lot of things you may never hear, but if they were missing, you would notice. And if you have headphones on, you might hear something very different than if you're in your car, than if you're in your room with your stereo playing. So we really got into some of the production and some of the layering of things, and that just helped us all. Once we got the vocals on, we just built everything around it. Now we've still not had a practice, so we don't know if we can play the songs live. I know we can, but we just haven't played them. We recorded the record, we've made the songs, but we haven't practiced together yet, to even figure out how do we bring these to live in a live setting. So usually, in the old days, we would figure it out live first. And we would figure it out in the practice space or during sound checks, or we would start playing songs during shows, see how people reacted to them. We didn't have the opportunity to do any of that this time, so it was a very different experience. But I think we tried our best to use those differences, to our advantage. That's, as an example, when we started getting some of the vocals down, that's when I started thinking like, okay, well, I know most of my friends who are in bands are all at home. I think I can give a few of them a call. They've got studios at their house, or they've got Pro Tools, they've got a laptop. Maybe they can play an instrument, play a part on a song. Maybe they can sing on a song. So there's a handful of people on here too that I think are going to get people really excited once they hear it. And man, I just talked a whole lot. I'm sorry.
I know it's cool. That's what I need. But it's so cool to see the passion, after all those years still intact. And like you say, it's like bicycle. You never lose it.
Yeah.
And I think it's catching a wave when you were talking about the lyrics. You really don't have to force yourself to do something good. It really have to come naturally. And I
Yep.
think it's things that are really awesome came like because of the passion, the right mind focus, and like I said, you let the wave go. And I think it's life is all about that. We really try so hard to control things that it cannot be really controlled, like
Yep.
talent, or and yeah, that's what I felt from the single, that it came really naturally for you. And that's what exciting, but still stressful. But that's the thing now, you mentioned it with the technology and everything. It changed everything. You don't need a label that drop you
Yep.
cash and have all those pressure for the label, from yourself and the other person in the band, because there was money involved. And now it's all DIY, and there's not much money, unfortunately, involved. So thank you for still losing money in the name of music. But yeah, it bring, I think, something. And that's why it's so still good. Punk is so still good. It's because there's way less pressure, and that movement is all about having fun.
Yeah, and I mean, again, we didn't go into making this record thinking it was gonna make money or revive a career or anything. It was really, we knew there was some amount of people who were waiting on this, who wanted another record from us. We wanted to make another record, and it was really just a matter of, the right time and the right place. Like I said, we had tried for so many years, and because we were forcing ourselves to try to write a record, it just never worked. We threw so much material away. We just weren't happy with any of it. And as soon as we just let go of all that pressure and all that stress that we put on ourselves, it just all came out, and it was fun. And thinking like to the money piece, we considered even just giving the record away. Like, let's just give it away, put it out there, it's free. If people hear it, that's great. Like, that's validation enough. Turns out that's really hard to do with these streaming services. You have to put a price on, even the ones that have a pay what you want type of feature. um, those are few and far between. So at that point, and of course, we had spent quite a bit of money making the record, so hopefully we'll recoup some of it. But if not, it's not why we made it. So there's no big deal there. Again, no pressure.
It's fucking amazing. It's
Yeah,
fucking amazing. And that's another difference,
it's liberating. If
and
Not
people.
having, oh, I'm sorry, but yeah, not having, I think if there had been a record label involved, there would have been a deadline, there would have been budgets, there would have been, like, you guys aren't done yet, but you have to be done. So we would have rushed to make it, which has happened to us in the past. And, it turns out that we weren't happy with some of those records or some of those songs. So this one, there's not a single song on it that we're unhappy with. Start to finish, this record is, I think, amazing. Of course, there's some few subtle things that I can hear, because I played on it and I sing on it. So I can hear like, I wish I'd sang that a little bit different, but it captures that moment in time, and it captures all that kind of playfulness and that freedom that we had in those moments. So it's, I think it will be, as much as Bitter Tongues, our first record, was kind of our introduction to the world and the thing that probably the record that people most fondly look back to when they think of us. I think this will be that same type of thing.
Wow. It's and you deserve it. I mean, the cool thing is, through the years, you were not active. A lot of people discover you, and
Yeah.
with the pandemic, way more people has discovered the band. And as here in Quebec and old Canada, people, we love the old one, but people are nostalgic. And there
Yep.
was
Yep.
so many releases in the 90s that there's records that passed through a lot of people, and now they're looking for that, and the name just go up. Oh, and Beretta. Oh, they were great. I saw them like that. And then I
Yep.
want every record. So I think that when you guys will be able to tour and everything, if you do, you're gonna freak out the amount of people that maybe wasn't there. Where were you guys? Oh, we just
Yeah, I mean, we hope so, and that's the plan. We haven't figured out all the scheduling of things yet, but the hope is to certainly play some shows. Whether or not we'll do like a full-blown tour, um, we don't know yet. It's more likely that we'll do a week here and a week there, but we'll do them in different regions, different locations. So, Canada is definitely not out of the question. In
yeah,
fact
because we
in fact,
mentioned it.
someone, I don't remember who did, but, someone on Facebook or maybe Instagram, as soon as we announced the record, they were like, "Are you playing Poozah Fest?" Because we always love to come play that, so maybe something like that'll happen too.
Who knows,
Yeah.
guys at the Poodza? It will be great. That would be rad. And
Yeah,
yet,
no, I think so for sure. Yeah, we'd love to come. We'd love to come. I'll have to get in touch with Hugo. We'd love to come play the festival again. I think the
yeah,
last time was probably, oh, I don't even know, 2010 or 12 maybe. I'm not even sure. I remember we played with Good Riddance, but that's about it.
yeah,
It's
I
been so
think
long
so.
ago. So long ago.
Yeah, I think it was just the Montreal show. I'm
Yep.
sure you
Yep.
went to Quebec that
Yeah,
time.
no, I think it was just in Montreal, yeah.
So, Quebec, Montreal, and the whole Quebec, like I said, there was a huge love affair. But with
Yeah.
the new records, you're gonna see, man, there's a lot of love for you guys, and I'm so excited about it. I mean, everybody, when you see a band came out, you just want to see them, have the reward they deserve since day one. Like
Yeah.
the Descendants is a good example. They were pretty well known in the States back in the days, but not around the world. But when they came back in '95, it was like surreal for them to see the
Yeah.
amount of people.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, it's really kind of you to say all those things. Like, we hope. I mean, that's kind of the biggest question that we have is like, if we went and played shows, are people going to come out? So it's exciting to, and it means a whole lot to hear those compliments and those words, from you. So we definitely appreciate it.
So congratulations with the records. I
Yeah,
mean
thank
it
you.
out of my heart. It's a kick-ass records, and I know you worked your ass, but man, people gonna love it, and it's cool. The direction you choose, the way it sound at the ending, it's a crazy records, and I'm sure a lot of people it's gonna be their soundtrack for the end of all that disaster was our last 2 years.
Yeah, I hope so. And part of that too, it would have been really easy to write a record reflecting on the last couple years that we've all been living through and make it a really negative record. You know, and just like fuck this and fuck that and everything sucks. Um, but instead we wanted to put like a layer of hope on there, you know. So even though we address all of those topics in the record, um, it's all done with a sense of hope and urgency, you know, and I think that's really important. And I hope people get that. I hope that, you know, some of the songs are a little more political than we would have done in the past. So that's some of that kind of growing and evolution. You know, Thomas from Strike Anywhere sings on our second single. That is probably the most political song we've ever written. It's incredibly catchy and it's such a good song. The things that he brought to the song are just amazing. Um, but yeah, I think all of them, no matter how dark the theme could be or political the theme might be, there's this sense of hope and there's this like moment of light in every song, you know. So even there's a song called "Dying to Feel Alive," you know, and that's a song that, in my head at least, it's really about, you know, just the isolation of the pandemic and just wanting to, like where our conversation started before, I think before you started recording, of just like wanting to get back to normal, you know. And that's really what that song's about. But this, you know, if you take it in the wrong context, it could come across as somewhat negative. But my hope is that these themes and these songs come together in a way that, you know, that hope and that light and, you know, that positivity, I think and I hope will resonate with everyone that hears it. You know, it's trying to make the most of a pretty bad couple years, pretty bad situation. You know.
Yeah, you really, what you did is taking something really negative, something dark, like you said, and change it in something really positive and bringing light to people. And it's cool. It's really cool because people are in need of that. There's a lot of hate through social media, division, like you said, and people there's
Yep.
fueled by hate and those emotion that we never been through, you know, that we have to face during the pandemic. A lot of people are, you know, they're not really social, so it was easy for them. And a lot of people that are social, it was a huge hit for them too. So it was different to everyone, and to
I think
have
so.
people
Yeah.
too, you know, trying to just focus on the PMA, the positive mental attitude that the bad brains, you know, were
Yep.
singing about back in the days. It's something so refreshing now. And like I said, that's what we need, really.
What a great reference there with the Bad Brains. Yeah, way to fit that in. That was awesome. Yeah, and if you're interested, if you'd like, I will send you that second single and you can have the exclusive premiere of it if you'd like. I'll send it to you right after we get off the call and you can have it and play it as part of this if you'd like.
I would love to, because
Yeah.
I would air the interview in like 2 weeks. So
Okay.
can we can like play the new single exclusive on
Yeah.
PPR? That would be rad.
Yeah. Yeah. So you guys for sure. That'll be so 2 weeks will be right around the time the record comes out on the 17th. So yeah, it'll be perfect timing if you wanna play that song instead of the one that maybe some of your listeners have already heard. Feel free to play it, the Better Medicine, as much as you guys want, you know, before this. But yeah, if you want a new song to premiere, I'll send it to you right after this.
Rad. This is
Yeah,
cool.
you'll have
I
to
also,
you'll have to email me and tell me if you like it. Tell me
yeah,
if
I
I did it
will.
justice when I was talking about it.
Yeah, and if you want, I can write a couple of liner, a
Sure.
review of the records. I did
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of review. I love doing that, and
Oh, that's
you know,
awesome.
I always review records that I love
Oh,
because
well, great. Well, hopefully you'll review this one then. I hope you do.
I will, and man, thank you so much. Seriously, you know, I'm doing the radio show since 13 years, you know, and like
Yeah.
I said out there, you know, I follow you guys since the beginning. I remember clearly the Quebec show, and you know, again, to have you back is something that was you were kind of the missing puzzle of my interview, like somebody that I wanted to happen, but you know, it's done. So thank you
Yeah,
so much.
absolutely. No, I'm glad we could make that work. So, you know, thank you for reaching out. Yeah.
So
I'm trying to think of
people,
where would we. I'm trying to think Quebec. I remember playing an old, like we did part of the Snow Jam tour. We went through Quebec and played
I
like
think,
an old IKEA factory
yes,
or something.
that was it. That was it. I think it was the night of AFI, and I think Rise Against did
Yep.
their kind of first tour ever before the release of the Unraveling.
Yeah, yeah. We did we the part of the tour we were on was with AFI, Rise Against, us, Jersey from Toronto or um
Yes,
Toronto
yeah,
area, and then there was
Jersey
another band on it.
type Creep Show.
Yeah, yeah. Um I think there was another band on it. Oh, Death by Stereo.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah, that
I
was
I will send you a picture of the flyer. I still got the
awesome.
flyers from that
Awesome.
night.
Yeah,
Remember?
that was awesome. And I think on the other, because it was like I remember there being it's 2 nights, and we were
Yes,
overlapping with another part of the tour that was like Sick of It All, and I think Good
good riddance.
Riddance. I don't remember who else was on the other leg, but yeah, just fun.
Um, the Zero Down was there.
Yep, yep, I
Zero
remember that.
Down.
I've still got one of the posters somewhere.
Wow. Yeah, I remember that show because you guys create a kind of mayhem. The slam was intense. People were, and there was a guy on drugs that was really fucked up during your set in the mosh pit, and I got him during the AFI set, and he just grabbed my arms, but he have nails, and he
Oh
fucked
no.
scratched me to blood like all the way, and it was
Oh
really
man.
like messy, and I have to get to the bathroom, and everybody was like, "What the hell? I'm gonna kill that guy." I didn't. It didn't happen. Nothing. But
Yeah.
yeah, I remember that show. That was crazy. That was cool because that place it was so huge. It was at that time it was IKEA there,
Yeah.
and they left. But we got a new IKEA since then. But there was you could like pack it that amount you want of people. There was
Oh
no
yeah.
stuff.
I think that was the one night of the whole tour where both lineups were in the same city at the same night. It was like an all day show, if I remember right. There's like 2 stages in the big space, and we went back and forth and did, it was like 10 or 12 bands. Yeah, it was fun, man.
That's crazy, man. Good
Yeah.
memories.
Yeah. There's a few of them that stand out. That's definitely one of them.
Wow. Do you remember the first gig you did?
The first, yeah, I do. It was in our hometown in Richmond at our local club called Twisters. It was us and Weston.
Hmm.
That was our first show as a band. It was October '96.
Wow. And how it went? Did it went good or?
Yeah, it was great. It was really I mean, the story there is that we'd only been a band maybe a month and a half. Um and the club, the guy that the promoter at the club called and was like, "Hey, I've got this show. When are you guys going to start playing? Do you want it?" And I was, the response was like, "Yeah, that could be fun. We've only got a handful of songs. Like we were just writing anything and everything that came out. Again, we were just going with it." I was like, "Yeah, but we don't have a name." And so we sat in the bar at the club for a couple hours, just the promoter feeding us beer until we came up with a name. And that's ultimately how the name came. We got to a point where we're like, I don't know what would be cool, and we just started bouncing things around. And I was like, yeah, a girl and a gun, like a girl's name and a gun, like that would be kind of cool. It's kind of an interesting juxtaposition or something. And somehow or another, and Beretta came out, and it just stuck. So it was on a flyer, so that's what we were called. um and a couple weeks later we played that show, maybe a month later. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, in October we played that show. And in kind of true form, because we had been in some bands before, that toured quite a bit. And myself and the drummer Russ, it was getting to that time of year where we were like, man, we're always on tour in December. We always go south to Florida, and where it's warmer, for the winter, like right around Christmas. And so we just started making phone calls, and I mean, we were touring a month later. So our band started in September. We played our first show in October, and we went on our first tour in December,
Wow.
which was just crazy. Which was just crazy.
That's cool. And name still, it's still the time, it's still great name. A lot of band are like, damn, why did we choose that? We were 15 and we were stupid and drunk, but
Yeah.
it's a great name. It's a good
Oh, well, thank you.
story.
Yeah, I think part of it too is, I like in my head, and I didn't know any bands at the time that were doing this, like a lot of bands are more recently. Less Than Jake has always been phenomenal at this, but we also part of the name of the band. I was like, well, if the band does anything, and maybe we can use the band name and create a character and create action figures and comic books and toys and whatever. We never did it. I think actually we did do a comic book a couple years ago, and I'm hoping to do a
Oh,
graphic novel. I'm hoping to do a graphic novel out of it soon. But yeah, that was also part of the idea. We were just like, yeah, girl and a gun, that could be cool. Oh, could it be a character? Could it be a toy? Could it be something else? And then we met Less Than Jake, and started playing with them quite a bit around 97 probably. I think we spent almost 2 years touring with Less Than Jake, and just realized like they were top of their game when it came to merchandising and toys and collectibles. And I maybe part of the reason we never did that was because we knew we couldn't do it better than Less Than Jake. I don't know. But one day we will. One day we will for sure. I've even started talking to some people about some toys recently.
I
Let's see.
understand that Christian and Roger, they're gonna laugh about that, but you're
Yeah,
as great as them, and I'm sure they're gonna say the same thing, man. Do it. That will be
yeah,
great. Let's see after the release of the record and everything. But yeah, and the novel is a great idea too. We're there. We're there.
yeah.
We,
Cool.
uh, uh, when I say to band, be creative. Just don't release the thing that people think they're gonna expecting you to release. Do something else, and people gonna fucking grab it because they want to encourage the band. And I think that's killer ID. And I
Yeah.
want a toy. I want my hand
Awesome.
toy.
All right. Well, we'll make it. We'll definitely make it happen then.
You already got one sold.
That's perfect. Hey, you know what? Sometimes that's all it takes.
Man, thank you so much.
Of
Seriously,
course.
had a blast, and I
Yeah.
mean
Thank
it
you.
from the bottom of my heart. That project, I love it since day one, and it's so cool to have you back. Congratulations with the new songs. Of course, we're gonna do a special airing the interview, but we're gonna play every goddamn song on the album, through the whole years. And man, we're gonna wait for you in Quebec. DM, Hugo, everybody behind the Puzza or every festival that's gonna happen this summer. Right to them. We want them in Quebec, of course.
Yeah. Any help would be appreciated. We'll definitely want to come back ourselves. So let's make it happen. And thank you for
Um,
having me, on this. This has been great. It's been great fun.
did you saw the Shawshank Redemption movie?
I've seen it, but not in a while.
Andy started to road to have books, a library,
Uh-huh.
and he started with letters a month and then letters a week, and they sent it like something cheap, and he start writing every day. I'm gonna do that, Puzza.
Awesome. Yeah, let's make that happen. That sounds great.
Thank
Get
you so much.
all your listeners. Let's get us back up there.
Yeah, and people go, of course, listen to the records. Is there any way? Will you release something physical? Is there any way if people wanna invest money and wanna help you out?
Yeah, good question. So the answer is maybe. We're looking into it. Right now, vinyl production is, I mean, it could take anywhere from
Yeah,
8 months to a year just to get the record pressed because everyone's backed up so much because of the pandemic and all the supply chain issues. So it's a definite maybe. We're hoping so. We're looking into it. I've talked to a few labels trying to get some help, just with the production cost and some of the, going through some of the labels will help us maybe get faster turnaround. So fingers crossed. Yes, that will happen. For now, at least for the first probably half of the year, it's only going to be digital. So anywhere you can buy or stream, digital albums, digital music, that's the place to go. And right
cool.
now you can pre-order it on Bandcamp exclusively. Um, and for the people that pre-order on Bandcamp, they might get a little surprised. You can definitely download the first single, but we may be adding a few surprises for those people that pre-ordered the record.
That's rad. Thank you so much again, man, for your time.
Of
And
course.
definitely, man, love you and wait for you in Quebec. There's a lot of poutine. And yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait, man. Awesome. Well, Eric, thank you so much again. I totally appreciate it, man. This has been a blast. And I'm gonna send you some more songs right after this.
And make sure I send you all the details. Of course, when we air the interview, we're not a podcast show. We're live in the studio.
Oh,
Uh,
excellent.
RL 89.1, but we've got the podcast available. Make sure I send all the details and the podcast, of course. And
Yeah,
thank you, man. Thank you so much.
of course. All right, Eric. Thank you.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Bye.
You too. You too, my man. All right.